Oh, yeah, it's the internet. Oh, yeah, oh, oh, ah. What are you doing, the internet? What are you doing when you're internet? What are you doing when you're internet? What are you doing? What are you doing, internet? Oh, Captain Spicy, Taped Aquatics, Jennifer Sassino, Saracino. Taped Aquatics, first one. Hello. Hello. Warming it up. We're warming it up. Warming up. What's up, internet? What's going on? Hola, muchachos. It's a Monday. It's a Monday. What did I put on the warm-up there? Did I put Monday on there? I couldn't tell. I don't remember if I put Monday on there properly or not. Sorry, I just ate pork, so of course I've got a toothpick in my mouth like always. Like a rude, crude, Monday kind of dude. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? I realize I'm like super low today. My voice is all weird. But glorious Monday here in Tacoma. The weather cooled down a little bit. Took a big dive in the cooling department, and we got to chill out a little bit today. And as a matter of fact, we saw a little bit of rain. So it was 9,500 million degrees yesterday. Today it was only about maybe 70 degrees, and cloudy the whole entire day. A little bit of rain, a little bit of things going on. Can't complain though. It was a much wanted break from the madness that was the super hot. And if everybody likes those new intros like Nisi, and of course Joel Gillett loves the new intros. I'm going back. Well, the new intros are the old intros style, but I'm putting them on here onto the live stream. It took me a little while to get that sorted out, honestly. There's been a few hours of me in here cussing at the computer to try and get everything sorted out. It's still a work in progress. Trying to get everything to cooperate properly is really a little bit mind-bending at this point, honestly. And has been frustrating to, I got to move inputs and outputs and turn on my video card and turn off my video card and do all this crazy stuff to get everything to work properly. And but I'm working on it. I'm getting better at it. And things not necessarily crashing as much, but getting XSplit to incorporate everything causes it to crash fairly often. So that's been an ongoing nonsensical situation, but like I said, I'm working it out, getting things figured out, and getting things pretty well sorted, sort of. I had to move the camera there a little bit. That's the easy part. That's the analog part where I just move my hand around. But luckily it wasn't super intensely hot out today. I didn't feel like I had heat stroke like I did yesterday. So that's beneficial. We got that. That was pretty good. Spent a ton of time painting today and doing a bunch of siding. I did a bunch of shingle shake siding on a feature wall for a project that I'm working on, and I gotta get approval from the landowner, whether or not I should post anything about it on YouTube. We'll see what she says. But it is a she, so don't want to tell you too much, right? But that project will still probably be going for probably the next month, I think, is probably how long that will be going on. And then I'll be wrapping that up and doing something else, and y'all can hear me talk about something else other than that all. Dwayne Kitchell. Dwayne showed up. What's up? A lot of the usual suspects here in the chat today. And, of course, thank you all for coming out. As you guys saw in the title, we're going to be doing some reef stuff today. I do have some footage on the 240 also, and some of you may have noticed that I've been uploading a super foreshortened version of the live stream as a video style. I think it's kind of fun to do those, so I'm going to kind of keep refining on those. So if you guys miss a live stream and don't necessarily want to watch the hour-long thing, hopefully you guys can bump up on those, and the people that don't want to watch long stuff can just watch those. But yeah, tonight is reef stuff, but it's all really basic reef stuff, so it's not too crazy. And of course, y'all can always interrupt with a super chat question, right? Isn't that how this works? Or you could just interrupt with a regular question, and I'll just probably answer that anyhow, right? So, let's see, who else is here? Reefers, Salty, Dwayne Dean. Which is cool, but I don't know. I just totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, the 180 is getting rolling. The 180 is the reef tank. That is actually the old shrimp tank. The new shrimp tank is a 180 also, so those are going to be the main tanks that I'm working on in the fish room henceforth until we end up doing the pond. But we'll be doing these three setups in the meantime. Those of you that have been watching the 240, the 240 is sort of at a point now where it's fully cycled. Everything's going. The main thing I'm going to be doing, if you guys missed yesterday's live stream, we're going to be building a new CO2 reactor that's actually a clear one. We'll be doing that, and probably sometime a little bit later this week. I'm thinking Wednesday is when I'll probably do that. Probably like Wednesday morning I'll get that done. And so probably the Wednesday livey streamy we'll be talking about actually looking at video of actually assembling that. Yesterday I gave you guys the parts list, showed you guys the parts that you'll need if you want to go along, and if you want to build one with me, if you like, and if you get the parts ahead of time, you can probably watch the live stream and put it together at the same time. Although I'll be videoed and you'll be live. But I'll be live here, and you'll be, well, you know, I mean, you get it, right? You all live on the planet Earth. It's not that weird. It's not that weird. Come on, guy. Who has a reef? I don't know. I don't know who has a reef. Somebody has a reef. Who has a reef? I'm interested. Who has a reef? Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know who has a reef. But I guess this is the Earth. Good point, Jennifer. It's a question for sure. Sometimes I watch the news and I wonder if we actually do live on the planet Earth, or some kind of space planet like Jupiter or Mars, or probably Venus. Uranus. I'd put Uranus in there. Maybe Saturn. Who knows? I just got way cooler. Why did I get way cooler? It's hot in here. Guys, it's hot in here. But either way, so we got that stuff ongoing, and luckily the project I'm working on is helping fund some of the fish room projects, which is badass. And so we're going to keep going on the stuff. And as you guys know, I'm working towards this Saturday deadline. Sorry, this Sunday deadline. Let me see. Hold on. Sunday. Sunday is the 2nd. So June 2nd, we probably won't have a live stream because we're going to be driving to Oregon. But maybe I'll see if my phone can do a live streamish type thing when I get to Potato's house. Who knows? I don't know what cell reception is like at his house, if we can even do one from there or not. But that's where we're going to be picking up his reef rock that he's got. He's got some surplus reef rock that is live, and we'll be bringing that up. We'll probably go to the local fish stores down there, like the Wet Spot and that kind of stuff. We'll see if the Wet Spot wants me to video there or not. You always get permission ahead of time, folks, before you start filming in somebody's store. That is something for sure. Captain Spicy's got the barking spider Uranus, which, you know, that's legitimate. I understand. That happens from time to time. I had pork and whatchamacallit, beans. Pork and beans tonight, burrito style. You know, Mexican food. So that might be happening later. But I'll blame it on the chair. Don't worry about it. I'll just blame it on this chair making fart noises. Wasn't me. But we'll be picking up the live rock this weekend and the Apistos most likely, or a secret inhabitant for the 240, which will be a secret until we actually get them back here. If the Apistos don't work out, he had a slight malfunction with one of his breeding tanks, and the mother died. So we'll see if we can gather up the offspring or not. That's kind of questionable, but we did talk about an alternative situation. So we'll get what's the word? We'll get alternative inhabitants for the 240. So the 240 will be stocked fairly soon, which is coming up, obviously, later this week. I'm not going to be putting anything in there until I get those from Potato, because I'm going to actually realistically use the 240 as a quarantine tank, sort of, if that makes sense, because it's going to be the only tank I have up and running and cycled. And then if I have an issue, then I'll be treating that tank as a whole. And then from there on out, I'll probably be using a 20 long as a temporary quarantine tank, which I'll show you guys whenever that comes up. But the Reef tank is getting set up. The Reef tank is basically today is cleaning and adding in all my base rock and stuff. And for some reason, the stream health has gone yellow. Why is that? So, I don't know why the stream health is yellow. What does that mean? Okay, viewers may be experiencing minor issues. Huh. Well, that's weird. I wonder why that is. Well, either way, we're going to move on to the video portion. Oh, I got to do the advertising part. Head over to darkstararts.com if you haven't heard that. If you haven't heard me say that before, head over to darkstararts.com and click through the Amazon banner and buy whatever you want on Amazon, and it will support us. The other thing you can do to support the channel here and all the projects going on is to super chat $1 to $400 million. Current reigning champions are Eddie Kaitia and Aquarium Co-op Corey are the reigning champions of the super chat. But anywho, let's go on to the next scene so that we can look at the 180. And now I'm down here in the corner. Guys. I don't know why the perspective changes so much on the camera when I go down here, but you can even see a cardboard box here in the background. Can't touch it. It's way far away, but you can see it. You can also keep an eye on that back door back there, because sometimes creepers show up with surprises. Maybe she's got ice cream. Who knows? Here is a hot tip to everyone out there who wonders how the pros get tanks clean so quickly. Get a shop vac. Get a shop vac. Go ahead and get yourself a shop vac if you do a lot of tank work. You can get mine is a really big one. I used to have a small one, but a friend of ours got rid of their real big one, and Vicky was Johnny on the spot to let them know that we wanted a big one, and then somebody stole my small one. I left it sitting out front of my garage, and not here at the old house. And somebody stole my small one. But like Home Depot or whatever, you can get a one of the smaller shop vacs, like a Rigid or something like that, for about like $60. I think they're like $59.99. And then it also depends on how much obviously sales tax, man, it's a real killer. But the shop vac is really kind of an essential tool if you're doing a ton of tanks, if you're setting up tanks, if you're cleaning tanks. I learned this a long, long time ago from, I'm not sure who, but somebody showed me this. Some store owner, I think, was showing me, so I had asked him a question, I think. I think it was a store owner that showed me this. I can't remember exactly who it was. But shop vacs come in like wildly handy. You guys can see, realistically, it's about a 10-minute video of me in the background here cleaning this tank. It's about all it took to clean a 180. Plus a couple little acrobatic maneuvers in order for me to get up there. Sorry about the lighting not being super fantastic on this. I think it looks fairly well, though. But first, because I have a little bit of residue of my plant setup from when this was the shrimp tank. Honestly, once we finally got it on the stand, then it was just kind of out of the way for a little while, so I didn't really clean it or any of that kind of stuff. But we're getting that handled. We're getting that handled today, so that I can tomorrow you guys will get to see me set up the sump and the plumbing for this. And we'll start making roadie water. This video today is actually cleaning the tank, putting in all my base rock, all the sand, all the crushed coral, all that kind of stuff is all getting into the tank here and getting set up. So then, like I said, tomorrow I'll be shooting the plumbing video to plummet, not plummet to the ground, but plummet to the earth. Jennifer's asking, is that a scratch in that one? I'm not sure if that's a scratch. I think that's a superficial scratch. It's not. I don't think that's a big one. I'm not sure. You know what? I didn't notice it when I was there, so it might just be a smudge on the front when I clean the front. It might be dirt or something, but I'll look into it for sure. Dwayne's asking, water pressure much? I've actually got it turned all the way down to not much on this. I just have it turned on just a little bit. If I turn that hose on full blast, it'll actually shoot and flop out of the tank. I don't need a ton of water at this point because I'm using the old T-shirt cutout trick, an old T-shirt cut into squares to clean off all the old stuff off of here. And I didn't really need to use vinegar or anything like that on this because it's been dry for only a little while. It hasn't been that bad. It's not all super crusty. And I did wipe it down when we drained it, like just to kind of knock off any kind of big debris. And there isn't much left really at this point other than the stuff that was, really in the bottom, which the shop vac got most of that once I wet it down, got the sides all cleaned and all that kind of stuff. Captain Spicy saying, "Oh, I'm building a reef." Yes, I used to have I used to have a big reef. Let me give you a breakdown. I had a nano reef was the first one I did. Then I had a 50-gallon reef. Then I had a 100-gallon reef when I was in the warehouse, if anybody's been around long enough to remember when I was actually renting a space in a warehouse. And then the warehouse froze because of a power outage for 3 days while it was 5 degrees outside. Everything froze, and so I ended up having to restart the reef once I moved out of that warehouse space. When I restarted the reef, I think, and then I set up a 240 gallon reef in the 240 that has all the plants in it and stuff now. And then I had that in there for a long time, and then by the time I was going to, I was actually going to, I was going to leave town, but I was going to leave town to go hike the Pacific Crest Trail, and I don't even know if I was going to video that or not. I was just going to kind of go do it, and so I sold off all the reef stuff and everything, and then I decided to stay instead. So then I ended up setting up the 240 as a different tank after that. But yeah, I don't have I wouldn't say I'm the most experienced reefer out there in the world, but I would say that I've accumulated a lot of advice from really, really expert guys. I did spend some time working at a purely saltwater aquarium store, just kind of as a weekend thing, evening thing, whatever. Just kind of a little part-time fun job to go do, and learned a lot doing that. I didn't realize how much of a camera shot of just me getting my butt in front of the camera, but you know, I'm wearing pants and everything, so it's not lewd. Hey, babe, is that lewd? I'm wearing pants. Got my butt in the camera, but I'm wearing pants. Like you can't see like my cheeks or anything. You know, I'm wearing pants. Is that fine? PG-13. It's a butt in pants. That's PG-13. I thought that's PG. It's a butt in pants. So I wasn't wearing like a T-back. You know. I wasn't wearing like a thong. Either way, it should be copacetic. Okay. But yeah, sorry. As I was saying, I get sidetracked sometimes, you know. But as I was saying, I've gotten a lot of good advice from a lot of really experienced guys, and not really tried to deviate too much. Whereas with freshwater, I've definitely experimented a ton, done a bunch of goofy nonsense to find out what works fairly well, what doesn't work well, finding things that were disastrous, finding things that worked really well. I've done a ton of experiments as far as the freshwater stuff goes. So it's all pretty much kind of like with freshwater, it's pretty second nature to me now. Like, you know, when I go through and I'm doing stuff, it's all pretty second nature. Whereas the reef stuff, I do kind of have to think about, like, what am I doing here? What's the plan? And then follow through on my plan, you know, instead of just kind of being loosey-goosey like sometimes I am with the freshwater stuff, like I used to be with all my crazy nano tanks and all that kind of nonsense. This tank I'm pretty excited to do. I think it's actually going to work out pretty darn well, because you guys can see the extra bulkheads in there for a closed loop if I need to run a closed loop. The guy that I got a bunch of equipment from this last Saturday, whatever day it was, it must have been Saturday because it wasn't yesterday. I actually got a bunch of lock line from him. So I actually have enough lock line to actually make some crazy returns and those kinds of things coming back up into the tank, which is great because lock line is normally super expensive, and I hate buying it because of how expensive it is. I'm going to be honest with that. When I say that, I don't like buying lock line unless I can get it second use, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just unbelievable how expensive it can be at times. I don't know why. I think it's made out of plastic harvested from diamonds, probably. They probably grind down diamonds and do that kind of stuff. Oh, Sashimi Whiskey showed up. What's up, man? Are you in Washington yet? I heard you were moving to Washington. That's what I heard. Somebody told me that. Or maybe it's a secret. If it's a secret, just say secrets. But who knows who's lurking on here? Sometimes a lot of people they don't got much to say, and they just being quiet. You know what I'm saying? Dwayne keeps asking him, and no one knows. Okay, so maybe it's a secret. Well, don't expose your secrets, man. Be creepy. That's way more fun. As long as you're not actually like being like really creepy, you know. You leave on Wednesday. Oh, okay. I hope you're not flying, because that drive, wherever you're coming from, across the United States, should be done by everybody at some point in time. It's definitely a worthy endeavor to go all the way across. He'll probably drive by my house, depending. Eddie West, good evening. I just got my 125 set up for salt. It's going to be a fish-only tank, but I'm going to be working on a reef tank here in the next few months. That's awesome. I think this setup is going to work really well for Vicky and I because we're going to do her freshwater tank. And there she comes. How did I get that? I pointed the wrong direction. There she is. Why in my brain do I think to point that way? But she's over there. She's lurking. She's wearing her pajama pants. She doesn't want to come talk to you guys right now. Oh, is this a skirt? Oh, on the camera it looks like pajama pants. Oh, yeah, she's wearing a skirt. Fancy. How elegant. Driving the 90 used to go right by my old house. Driving the 90 does not go by the new house here in Tacoma. If he was driving the 90, he would have been really close to my old house. But I'm sure I'll make my way back up to Corey's again, and at some point in time when we can actually meet up and not be super busy going the wrong direction. And yeah, I'm sure that'll be fun. I'll probably show up there dressed. Honestly, I think if I show up there, I should probably, I'm thinking old style, caballero, like Mexican cowboy, I think is probably what I should rock. Well, every time Jimmy sees a house, he needs to wave and say hello and goodbye to possible fish fam. Well, that's a good point. That is a good point, for sure. Mexican caballero, or what do New Zealanders wear? What's traditional New Zealander garb? Oh, I guess that's Polynesian, so I should get really tattooed. Yeah, I'm going to be flying out to New Zealand and going to go hang out on Joel's couch. But, of course Vicky will be coming too, Where are we at in this video? Oh, there's the end. Well, there we go. Moving on. Wait, what? Why is this? Oh, there it's dirty. Okay, there it's clean. Ah, there we go. Okay. Sorry about me operating the clicks and clicks and whistles here. I thought I had changed the lighting scheme to the next video, so when it looked exactly the same, that threw me off. I'm trying to figure out what the deal was there. Joel Gillett wears flax skirts. Oh, okay, cool. Maybe I'll get me one of those grass flax skirts and rock that. I don't know if that's OSHA approved on the job site, but I wonder if I wear that with my tool belt and my hard hat and my bright orange colors. I wonder if that would work for OSHA, if they'd be cool with that. Captain Spicy's asking, is that dead sand? That is actually coarse sand, aka the super fine crushed coral, and then I have the bigger crushed coral was the second one that I put in there. So not a big deal as far as anything weird. Dwayne Kitchell's saying work kilts are OSHA safe. Are they? Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do a kilt. That's not my heritage. It don't make no sense. It's not aragonite. It's actually kind of the bigger than aragonite stuff. I'm trying to think of what the name of it is. But it's like the fine crushed coral, if that makes sense to you. And then this is the coarse crushed coral. Luckily, I got 2 buckets, and that's going to work out to be just about exactly what I need as far as saltwater substrate goes, because this stuff is, much larger, kind of stacks up on top of each other, and I can spread it out, not a big deal. Whereas freshwater stuff, you definitely need more buckets. You need more buckets of freshwater stuff because it tends to compact more than the crushed coral and this kind of stuff. So got this in and starts making starts making good sense here as things come together. I think what that scratch is on the front is probably a scratch, which normally isn't illuminated by the light, but the light is in a really weird spot right now. So I'll probably end up polishing that one now that I notice how bad it is with no water in it. I'll probably polish that one spot tomorrow or the next day. And no, I won't shoot video of me polishing acrylic, because then people get a wild hair up their butt and start polishing their acrylic, and then they go like, I did it just like you did it, and then they get mad. And I don't want to go down that road anymore. I don't want to go down that road where people get mad because they polished their acrylic like I do, and then they freak out. Oh, hold on a second, guys. Sorry about that. I have to get back. Had to answer a question. All right. Well, as you guys can see, the amount of rock that I got was initially, yeah, that's what Dwayne, that's how I do it. 3,000 grit, wet sand, and then I use the Novus 123. I tell people to do that all the time, and they end up telling me that it didn't work. So, you know, and I've had people over the years say that they ruined their tank, and so I don't do that anymore. Although I do have my drilling videos and stuff like that up online. I hope people realize when they drill their tank, that's not my fault. But I think I have some old acrylic polishing videos up somewhere. I don't know. I don't know if I have those up on here, but I probably won't. I probably won't put those up. But it is a pain in the butt to polish acrylic. I won't blame you. Maybe yeah, that's a good point, Captain Spicy. They probably do 300 grit instead of 3,000. I've had a lot of people tell me when they go to the store, they're like, I can't find 3,000 grit sandpaper, and I'm like, yeah, yep. Like I said, you got to go to the auto parts store because it's for polishing automotive paint is what it's for. So those guys have it, not the hardware store. The hardware store doesn't have it. Sometimes Harbor Freight does. I don't know why, but sometimes they do. Joel Gillett. He's never owned an acrylic tank. It's pretty rare to get those in New Zealand, apparently. They're perceived as being inferior to glass. In some ways, it is inferior to glass, except for it lasts a really long time. It's much lighter. What's that? No, glass doesn't scratch as easily. So acrylic does scratch, whereas glass doesn't. But acrylic's light, glass is heavy. Glass has seams of silicone that will fail. Acrylic normally has 50-year seals, which I don't know how anybody could really back that up. It's like the 30-year roof guarantee. It's like that company will be out of business by the time 28 years roll around and the roof fails. But the clarity, I think, is technically on high quality acrylic. The clarity is better than glass because you have to get Starfire glass that has no iron in it in order to get the clarity up higher. But then it's more brittle. It's easier to break a Starfire glass tank, so it doesn't have as much strength. But I don't know. It's really just kind of comes down to personal preference. And my biggest thing is that Vicky and I like the look of them better, and realistically, the weight issue is a big deal. Because when Grunther and I used to move around, we moved the 210, the old glass 210 that I had. We moved that thing around a few times, and that was just about all that was going to be. I just wasn't going to get any big glass tanks anymore ever again. Even the 180 here is pretty hard for Vicky and I to pick up. And I'll tell you, the last time Grunther and I carried around the glass 210, there was a point where we almost had a major, major disaster with that tank that would have been irreplaceable because it would have been a human loss. And, you know, we could have always gotten another tank. But we were kind of a ass hair away from a serious problem that there wouldn't have been anything that we could do about it. And I'm glad to say we don't run into that with the acrylic tanks anymore. Or we don't run into that with the acrylic tanks. They're much easier to move around, and that's kind of the big deal. You know, Vicky and I can pick up the 240 and just move it around. We can just grab either end and carry it with us. The 180 happens to be really, really, really thick acrylic. I think it's like 15/16 thick, I think. Or like 7/8. It's basically 7/8 of an inch thick on everything in there, which adds up to a lot. Carson, hey man, what's up, Carson? What's going on? I remember Carson remembers moving that 240 about as heavy as he'd like to move. It's about at the point where you could get uncomfortable carrying it pretty far, but it's not that bad. It's not like the 210. The 210 was like, oh, we got to take this thing 10 feet. We got to take this dang thing 10 feet, and that was going to be a problem. But as you guys can see, that was basically real time setting up all the rock and stuff. Let's see if we can get the video here to a point where we can pause it right there. And so that's all the rock we got right now. This would be the base rock, and then everything else I'm going to be attaching to this and moving everything around. This is how I escape a reef. First, I get all my base rock together into the tank, and then I start putting the puzzle pieces together. So I'll show you guys how it goes from here, coming up tomorrow and the next couple days this week. But I have to get all the rock in there and then start figuring out how the Tetris is going to go together, because I don't have any of those long pieces or the L's or the weird T's or that weird Z thing from the Tetris to actually stack together. They're all really weird shapes. So spatially, this is how I get it set up. So everything is in there, and then I can kind of look around and go like, oh, that rock needs to go there, this one needs to go there, that one needs to go there, and I can move them all around. But otherwise, this actually worked out to be a lot of base rock, and I actually had 2 chunks from Potato, and I still have a bunch of Reef rubble at this point that will be going into the sump. Obviously, I don't have enough. Sorry, I haven't showed that to you guys. I don't understand how that's going to be obvious. I don't have enough at this point, so I'm going to end up getting some more Reef rubble, but that's not going to be a huge ordeal. Reef rubble is actually pretty darn cheap when you get down to it. So, Captain Spicy and Dwayne Kitchell are asking, will I glue them in place? Yes, I will be using... what is that stuff? It's a 2-part Reef epoxy. It's pretty basic stuff. It's basically like really thick paste. It's like thick putty that's glue, and I'll be gluing that the Reef pieces together up into place because I want to get some nice elevation out of this scape for the Reef so that I can have my kind of weak lights in the back, doing a bit of SPS on the sides, and then I can actually use a good spotlight in the center and move my light around. You guys will see how it goes, but I want to get a good amount of elevation on this tank. Hello, Aquarium Cop. But I want to get a good amount of elevation on that Reef tank. Because this tank is so high, I want to utilize the height of it to get it together. Carson's asking, will I be using JB Water Weld to keep it together? That's what it's called. There was a Reef version of it. It's like JB Water Weld, but there's a Reef kind that's Reef safe. So I'm not sure if Water Weld will hold up to not leach anything into the water, the JB Weld stuff, but there is whatchamacallit. There's a Reef kind, and I can't off the top of my head remember what it is, but I know what it looks like at the store. And luckily the aquarium garden up the road, where I got some of the plants a while back, they carry it there, so I can just go pick it up there. Nice local guy. And there are a few Reef stores down here in the South End I'm pretty excited to go to, and trying to make some better connections to the guys down here. But as you know, like if you don't currently have a Reef going, it's difficult to make contact with Reef people, because normally the way you do that is you get frags of coral. Normally people have stuff posted up that's like frags and stuff like that. So I think the easiest way that I would recommend if you want to meet other reefers in the area is find some frag posts, then go buy some frags, some coral frags from people, and get to know some of the locals and stuff. But that's how we're going to be going with it. Dwayne Kitchell is asking, what corals are you thinking of? Which is a good question. I'm going to definitely need some acroporas for sure. I'm going to definitely need some staghorn. I'm going to definitely need some hammer coral, because I'm going to have a deep, long love for the hammer coral. Most euphyllias and stuff like that. Let's see. Polyps. Going to definitely... yeah. A lot of it comes down to, and I definitely need some flower anemones. I need flower anemones for days. If anybody's got flower anemones, I need them for sure. Carson has some Montes and euphyllias for me. Awesome. We will definitely work out a deal on that, where we play rock, paper, scissors, and suddenly I play Rochambeau and steal your frags. I'll definitely need some zoas and some pallies for sure. Zoanthids are so easy to come across that it's almost just like point and shoot kind of situation with the zoas, getting those. So I'm not super concerned. I probably will never do GSP ever again, ever since my GSP wall configuration of madness. Green star polyps, to those that don't know what GSP is. So I don't know. But I'm going to definitely be doing mixed reef, that is for sure. I need some engineer gobies in my life. We need some gobies up in here, and I have not decided on fish yet, other than gobies. But I need gobies and gobies and gobies. That is for sure. That is going to be... Those are the fish that I need, are some badass gobies doing some good stuff. I might do a pistol shrimp again. If you guys remember Yosemite Sam, my old pistol shrimp, and my gobies and stuff that I had for a grip. I had them for a long time, long time. They were definitely on my list of favorite little guys. But it's sort of questionable whether I'll do a pistol shrimp again or not, because he definitely had a good temperament to shoot and kill things in my tank pretty often, and I don't know if I want to do that in a big mixed reef like this. So I'm thinking a flame angel or something like that, instead of clowns, is probably the route that I'll go. But it's so up in the air because of, realistically, a lot of it comes down to availability. It's almost, I might luck out and, have somebody break down a system that is really close to what I'm looking for and be able to make a fairly good deal and not have to acclimate every single thing, and quarantine every single thing. That's the big thing. I want to be able to get a good amount. Like if I'm going to do a couple of fish, and which it was probably realistically going to keep it dialed down as far as the fish stock goes in this tank, I would like to get them all from the same place and introduce them all at the same time, and not go too crazy with the reef quarantine system, because I bet that would piss off my lady. Carson has a good point. Maybe set up a sump refuge for a pistol. Maybe I'll do a pistol down in the sump refuge, or in the fuge. That might be a good idea, but you can never really check them out when they're down in the sump. If you got stuff hanging out down in the sump like pistol shrimp, you can just hear them clicking and popping down there. It sounds like heaters are exploding or something, and it just kind of makes me paranoid, I guess, for what's going on down in the sump. But just like the freshwater, I'm not 100% on what I'm doing, and a lot of it comes down to, like I've said a couple of times already, so I'm just kind of repeating myself like an idiot, that availability ends up being a big issue as to like what I can get and whatnot. Well, that's a good point, Carson. It's better than breaking down a whole entire 180 to get them out, because if you put a pistol shrimp in your tank, I guarantee you they'll be under everything, and you probably will never get them out of there. I think Carson remembers that. I think Carson remembers trying to get the pistol shrimp out of there. It was a bit of a nightmare. Now that I'm recalling, doing that, because I think Carson got my pistol shrimp and a couple other things. I can't remember. No, I can't remember. And a jawfish. Looks like a fish from SpongeBob. Jadrin Aquatics, talking about a jawfish. But gobies are definitely on the list. I'm definitely going to be getting some gobies. That's going to be a really important fish for the reef. That's something that is going to happen. Like I said, I might do a flame angel. I might do a this. I might do a that. Those are all kind of feel it out kind of stuff, to see what's available and what I can pick up and whatnot. I do have some good connections up north for reef stuff, so I might end up looking into that, and see what is available at this point in time, because you never really know what's really available until you actually contact people and see what's up. So I could always dream about what I want to do, but it just really comes down to if somebody's got one or not to even sell, let alone the price. Flame hawkfish. I'm trying to think of what that is. Oh yeah, flame hawkfish. They're fairly similar to flame angels. I got green mandarins. I'm kind of, I don't think I'm going to do a mandarin, probably because they just tear through eating so much. That was always the problem I had before, is that they ate so many of my pods and everything that it wasn't difficult to keep them alive. Keeping them alive wasn't a big deal, but all my pods and everything it was impossible. I kept having to buy pods to replenish them, and for whatever reason, they were only like half-ass breeding in my sump. I don't know what I had wrong going on for them to not be like prolifically breeding in the sump. They were just kind of like sort of. So I kept having to replenish my pods all the time, which was realistically a pain in the butt. But Cheeto in the sump for mandarins, yeah, I had Cheeto and all that. And like I said, my copepods, I don't know why they weren't breeding down there very well. It just was problematic for whatever reason. I don't know why. They weren't replenishing the way that I expected them to, and realistically made sense or not. Carson's asking, am I dosing in this tank? I will be dosing probably bi-weekly in the off week, because I think I'm going to do water changes every 2 weeks. So I think the off week I'm going to dose, and then the on week I'll do the water change to balance it out. But I think I'm only going to be dosing once every 2 weeks, and probably testing weekly, and maybe a little more often right when I start out, just to kind of start getting a rhythm with the system. But I think that's my plan, is a water change every 2 weeks, and dosing weekly, or maybe a little more often, depending on how quickly everything's getting depleted and stuff like that. So that will be that's my plan. That's currently my operational plan, which realistically I learned that from Rob, is that if you just set up a plan and follow it, generally you'll be doing fairly well. You don't necessarily have to do a water change. You don't have to do a water change every week. You can do it like every 2 weeks if you're going to stick to that and have pretty good results, especially if you have a little bit of a bigger tank like a 180. Because I think the sump is a 40 gallon, so it's about 220. So it's not a huge reef, but I think it's going to be just big enough to be pretty stable. And Dwayne is asking top off RO on the middle week. I'll be topping off RO whenever it drops down, whenever the level drops. I think I'm going to have I forget off the top of my head if I have space for a 10-gallon bucket or a 5-gallon bucket under there for my RO to top off with. Honestly, I can't remember. I can't remember exactly how much space I have under there. I'll have to investigate that. So we'll hold on. I'll hold off to really answering that question until whatever's going on. Jadron Aquatics asking about an auto top-off pump. Yeah, I'll probably just order an auto top-off and use that if my old one doesn't work. But honestly, that's was kind of the best setup that I had in the past, was just an auto top-off, just to drop in a half gallon or a gallon of whatever is evaporating. It is summertime right now, so there will be some expected a little bit of evaporation just because of the humidity here has dropped down, which will allow a little bit of evaporation, which not a big deal if it's not out of control. And I'll actually be putting lids on this one to help keep the evaporation and the salt creep down to kind of a minimum, which is one of the issues that I had in the past, but well, I guess the most annoying issue I had in the past. Oh, and Patrick Waterboxes has shown up. Right on. Awesome. Right at the end. Start showing up right at the end. Those of you that missed out on the freshwater Aquascape, the 240, I have video on it, but you'll have to come back tomorrow. Getting to the end of the video tonight, we had no super chatters, so shout out to nobody for super chatting. I guess we'll say go by darkstararts.com and click on the Amazon banner and buy some toilet paper, chocolate, whipped cream, and a slingshot. Oh, I already said slingshot. Oh man, I doubled up. I'm sorry. Guys, I'm better than that. Carson Anderson, I'm 2 to 3 weeks between water change in my 20 long, but have the skimmer and dose weekly. He likes the quick 3-minute video. I have to edit the quick 3-minute video right after this, and there's no super chatters to shout out, so I won't be shouting out to any of those guys. But there will be surprises, that's for sure. A couple things, and whatever the butt shots were tonight. I want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. It's right after 9 o'clock, which means it's getting close to our bedtime here. From Aquarium Cop. Pro Skater 77, Sashimi Whiskey, Joel Gillett, Jennifer Sarchicino, Taped Aquatics, Captain Spicy, Carson, of course, who I think is one of our moderators. Oh, whoops, I keep forgetting to make him a moderator. Oh, you'll be a moderator. Patrick Waterboxes, sorry for your showing up late. That's not my fault. That's your fault. Turn your notifications on, dude. Jadron Aquatics, thanks for coming out, blah, 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 blah. That's the end of it for today, guys. So do whatever you got to do. Spay and neuter your pets. Is that how that goes? Yeah, spay and neuter your pets. That's what's going on. Later, 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 skater, dater, dater. You got to turn on your notifications, or the internet won't tell you that we're interneting. you'll miss out on surprises. And Vicky will get super mad at you, so she'll make beans and pork for dinner. And then you tell her about barking spiders. Barking spiders. Goodbye.